Hello, everyone, and welcome to this explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled you're here today because, well, we're tackling something pretty much all of us face, but honestly, very few of us are ever actually taught how to handle. We're talking about navigating workplace chaos. The constantly changing expectations, the difficult personalities, the utter uncertainty, all without feeling completely overwhelmed by the whole shebang. Today, we're going to explore this really fantastic concept called Cruise the Workplace Atlantic, and I'm bringing you right on board to show you exactly how to chart your course. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. Welcome to the ocean.
Okay, let's dive into this. To kick things off, we really need to completely reframe how we look at our professional lives. And here is the absolute bedrock of this whole concept. You don't need to control the ocean. You need to learn how to navigate it. I want you to literally just let that sink in for a second. So much of our workplace burnout comes from desperately trying to control things that are, frankly, entirely outside of our control. Other people's moods, shifting company deadlines, sudden corporate restructures. Releasing the need to control the water around you is actually your very first step toward professional success.
From the time we're young, we're often sold this idea that a career should be a totally predictable step-by-step path, like climbing a ladder, right? But if you go into work every single day expecting a perfectly straight, newly paved road, you're going to end up completely exhausted the very moment you hit a pothole. By shifting your mindset to embrace this truth, that your career is actually an unpredictable ocean voyage, you stop fighting the environment. You start anticipating the swells. You expect unexpected currents and changing destinations. And suddenly, that unpredictability isn't a failure of the system. It's just part of the journey.
Section 2. Anatomy of the voyage.
And this brilliantly illustrates how we translate this idea. If we're indeed out on the open water, we need to know exactly what we're dealing with, right? Abstract, scary corporate chaos actually translates into tangible, navigable elements. When priorities suddenly change and deadlines shift, well, those are just the waves. They're constant, they roll in and out, and you just gotta ride them. Conflict, criticism, difficult situations, those are the storms. They might be loud and scary, but they always pass. The wind represents the opportunities that push you forward. And my personal favorite analogy here, the icebergs. These are the hidden risks in workplace politics. Most of their mass is lurking right beneath the surface, which is exactly why we have to be so incredibly observant to steer clear of them.
But hey, the ocean isn't just about the external environment. It's also about you, the captain, and the tools you bring on this voyage. Think about your goals and your career direction. That's your navigation. Your values, your strengths, the things that give you stability, those are your anchors, and they keep you grounded when those waves get rough. Your ship is your entire professional identity. Your strategy, that's your map. And remember, you're never sailing alone. Your colleagues, mentors, and allies make up your supportive crew. Finally, those big achievements and milestones you're working toward, those are the ports where you get to dock, rest, and celebrate. Seeing your career mapped out this way really puts the power right back in your hands, doesn't it?
Section 3. The Introverted Navigator. Now, there's a persistent myth in corporate culture that you absolutely need to be the loudest person on the ship to get noticed or to succeed. Enter the Introverted Navigator. This is a professional whose objective isn't to be the loudest person on the ship, but rather to become a highly skilled navigator. If you're naturally quiet, thoughtful, or reserved, please hear me on this. Those traits are not liabilities. No way. They're actually superior navigation skills in the modern workplace. You literally do not need a megaphone to steer ship safely to port. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how we can contrast what we think works with what actually works beautifully for introverts. Instead of exhausting approaches like constant talking, relying on spontaneity, or trying to dominate a room, you can rely on quiet power. Instead of talking nonstop, you use observation. Remember those icebergs we just talked about? Observers spot them first. Instead of winging it with spontaneity, you use preparation. Instead of dominating a meeting, you use active listening to actually understand the real currents of the room. It's a total game changer.
The power of introverted strengths continues when we look at how we communicate. The loud approach tells you to speak frequently, right? But the introverted strength relies on asking thoughtful questions that actually move the needle. Instead of relentless self-promotion, the introvert focuses on consistent workplace wins that speak entirely for themselves. Instead of superficially networking with absolutely everyone, you foster deep, meaningful relationships with key crew members. And instead of just trying to appear confident, you bring concrete evidence. Fostering those deep relationships and bringing real evidence to the table will always trump empty confidence in the long run.
Section 4. The Cruise Framework. So, now that we understand the ocean and we've empowered our introverted captains, how do we actually make the journey? Well, this framework begins with proactive planning. Step 1. Know your destination. Ask yourself, what do you actually want from your career? Step 2. Know your ship. Take stock of your strengths, your skills, and the resources you already have on board. Step 3. Read the weather. What's currently happening in your organization? Is a storm brewing or is it clear skies? Step 4. Choose your route. Which specific wind or opportunities should you pursue right now? And step 5, manage the waves. You absolutely have to decide in advance how you're going to handle the pressure and uncertainty when those deadlines inevitably start shifting.
Let's move to and see how this builds into the active sailing phase of our journey. Step 6 is absolutely crucial. Avoid the icebergs. You must carefully navigate around risky people, toxic behaviors, and workplace politics. Step 7, build your crew. Figure out who can support, mentor, and genuinely advocate for you. Step 8, create workplace wins by consistently delivering undeniable value. Step 9, adjust your course. A good captain is always checking their map. What isn't working right now, and what needs to change? Actually, scratch that. It's more like constantly recalibrating to stay on track. And finally, step 10, reach the next port. Take the time to celebrate that milestone.
Section 5, reaching the next port.
As we sail into the final stretch of our explainer today, I really want to talk about how we view our long-term career progression and ultimate success. Hitting your milestones doesn't mean the ocean suddenly vanishes. We need to anchor ourselves in the reality of success. Careers are simply not straight roads. You must expect the uncertainty and the storms because, well, they're pretty much guaranteed. But here is the most wonderfully relieving part of all of this. Your success doesn't depend on a calm ocean. Let me say that again for the people in the back. A perfectly calm ocean isn't required for success. Success depends entirely on your focus. It depends on developing the navigation skills, the deep crew relationships, and the careful judgment to handle whatever waves come your way.
So the crucial point is this. You don't have to become a different person across the ocean. You need to learn how to sail the ship you already have. This is the ultimate takeaway for everyone watching today, but especially for our introverted navigators out there. Stop trying to paint your ship to look like someone else's. Stop trying to install a loud booming horn if that just isn't how your vessel was built. Honor your unique traits, use your specific strengths, and master the art of sailing your own ship. It's a big, unpredictable, and sometimes completely chaotic workplace Atlantic out there. But you have your map, you know your anchors, and you know how to read the weather. You are fully equipped for the journey. So I leave you with this one question to ponder as you look at the week ahead. So, Captain, where are you steering your ship today? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and happy sailing.